How to train a dream dog. Subscribe to the channel. 1. Encouraging feedback. Absolutely uplifting feedback is a technique popularized via trainers like Don Sylvia Stazowitz, who trained the Obama's dog, Bo. The hypothesis behind it is fairly straightforward. Dogs will repeat great behavior when it's trailed by a reward. Bad behavior doesn't get a reward or acknowledgement. On the off chance that amendment needs to happen, it comes as removal of rewards, similar to a toy or treat being taken away. Harsh reprimands or physical disciplines aren't necessary. This training strategy starts with rewarding an ideal behavior immediately, inside seconds after it happens. That way the dog comes to associate the behavior with the reward. A few trainers consolidate this strategy with clicker training, see number 3 beneath. This offers the dog an unmistakable hint of the exact second the behavior was finished. Commands also should be short and forthright. Sit. Stay. Come. Encouraging feedback requires consistency. Hence, everybody in your family unit needs to utilize the same commands and reward framework. Start with non-stop rewards each time your dog makes the best choice. At that point, gradually move to irregular rewards as the behavior gets reliable. Some of the time learner trainers accidentally reward bad behavior. For example, they may let the dog outside when they start barking at a squirrel or another dog. Just wanted behaviors get rewards, which can incorporate treats, toys, praise, and pets. It can also be easy to overload when your dog is learning, so utilize small treats when you are rewarding with food. This strategy is great for learning commands, yet you need patience for amending unwanted behaviors. 2. Logical training. Science-based dog training can be hard to characterize as it depends on information that is continually constructing and changing. It aims to understand dogs' nature, their ability to be molded, and the adequacy of rewards and disciplines. Animal behaviorists are constantly creating new examinations and analyses to shape our understanding of dog brain research. Trainers depend on these investigations to work with dogs. Before a behavior is rectified, everything about that behavior must be understood. Because science-based dog training is so broad, it's hard to pinpoint an overarching strategy behind it. In fact, a ton of the techniques utilized in logical dog training are utilized by different types of training. Generally, there is a reliance on operant molding, which for the most part incorporates uplifting feedback and, less frequently, a few types of discipline. Some logical trainers accept that it's also important to learn how to fortify great behavior without the requirement for rewards and to depend on dog brain science to discover ways to improve off-leash relationships among proprietors and their puppies. Logical training depends on doing a decent deal of research and staying updated on the latest investigations. Consequently, it very well might be best for professional trainers, since the strategies they utilize are frequently successful if you know the science behind them, and different types of training already utilize many of those techniques. Also, growing new strategies based on research may not be appropriate for everybody. In any case, it's a smart thought for dog proprietors to stay educated and pay attention to new research when it opens up. 3. Clicker training. Clicker training is also based on operant molding and depends heavily on the same standards as encouraging feedback. In fact, clicker training may be assembled in as a strategy for encouraging feedback, rather than as its own type of training. It depends on the utilization of a gadget to make a snappy, sharp commotion, for example, a whistle or, as the name recommends, a clicker to signal to a dog when a wanted behavior is accomplished. The advantage of utilizing clicker training is that it signals the exact second the ideal behavior is done and exactly what is being rewarded. Trainers can then utilize the clicker to shape new behaviors and add verbal commands. To begin with, the dog should be adapted to realize that a tick means a reward is coming. At that point the dog can associate a behavior with a tick and a reward. Finally, the verbal command can be acquainted with structure and other association. This is a great strategy for learning new deceives, and it can help shape the basics into more complicated tasks. Many professional trainers utilize this technique. While it is great for learning new behaviors, clicker training isn't necessarily appropriate for controlling unwanted behaviors. At the point when utilized alongside other training techniques, it tends to be powerful in making sure you have a very much trained, respectful pooch. 4. Electronic training. Electronic training depends on the utilization of an electric collar that conveys a stun or a spray of citronella when a dog isn't playing out an ideal task. It's generally utilized for training at a distance when a leash can't be utilized. For example, stun collars can train a dog to stay inside boundaries of an unfenced yard. Distant collars can teach dogs to work in fields or accomplish chasing work. Individuals who utilize these gadgets claim that there's less danger of a dog getting injured than with stifle collars or other mechanical gadgets. There are many issues with this training strategy. One is that it depends on discipline for bad behavior instead of rewards, meaning a dog learns what they shouldn't do, rather than what they ought to do. Another issue is that it can create a great deal of pressure and lead to permanent anxiety issues for dogs. The gadgets are frequently utilized by unpracticed proprietors, and in this way are abused. This can cause a great deal of unnecessary pain, both physically and psychologically, for dogs. Professional dog trainers may see wanted outcomes from electronic training, however it's certainly not for use by average proprietors. There are many alternatives that put dogs under far less pressure and pain. In case you will utilize an electronic gadget, counsel a professional about appropriate utilize and think about an alternative type of behavior amendment. 5. Model rival or mirror training. The model rival technique for training depends on the fact that dogs learn by observation. By giving a model of good behavior or a rival to go after assets, dogs learn to impersonate behaviors. So a trainer may have another human act as the model, praising them for finishing tasks on command or chastening them for unwanted behavior. The dog, as an eyewitness, learns what to do effectively from the model. The model can also act as a rival, contending to do the correct task for an ideal toy or treat as a reward, encouraging the dog to get on the task and accomplish it all the more rapidly. Mirror training depends on the same standard, utilizing the dog proprietor as a model, at that point offering rewards for impersonating great behavior. It utilizes the dog's natural senses to operate socially instead of neutralizing them. To lay it out plainly, the dog learns by example. This training strategy operates with a similar degree of progress as uplifting feedback and operant molding. However, a few trainers may think that it's more natural and preferable. In the event that your dog has a solid bond with you and can invest a great deal of energy noticing you and chasing after you, this may be a method that you discover more comfortable than adhering to regular training meetings. 6. Alpha dog or dominance. Alpha dog or dominance training depends on a dog's instinctual pack mentality to create a relationship of accommodation and dominance. The hypothesis recommends that dogs consider there to be as their packs and follow a social hierarchy, as seen in captive wolf packs. At the point when a dog considers themselves to be the alpha, they need to learn to instead regard their human as the alpha and submit. A few strategies utilized in this procedure incorporate understanding dog nonverbal communication and reacting accordingly, anticipating certainty and authority, and going first with regards to eating, going into or leaving rooms, or walking on leash. On the off chance that your dog wants to go out, at that point they have to sit before you open the entryway. In the event that they want to eat, at that point they have to wait calmly while you prepare food. Generally with alpha training, you don't allow your dog on furniture with you, including the bed. You also don't get down to your dog's eye level. That's because these are signs that your dog has equal standing in the relationship. You are in charge, you are dominant. Cesar Millan popularized this training technique. However, he some of the time consolidates dominance training with different techniques when appropriate. Some advanced trainers say this strategy is outdated, as new research has shown that dogs don't depend on pack mentality as much as recently suspected, and the pack dynamic of wolves isn't organized in the wild the same way it was the point at which the animals were seen in captivity. Although dominance training can check unwanted behaviors, current dog trainers regularly think that it's antiquated. It can fail to address the fundamental causes of bad behavior and leave dogs feeling anxious or fearful. The dominance battle becomes constant and necessitates steady fortification, which can be troublesome or even dangerous for kids or the old. 7. Relationship-based training. Relationship-based training consolidates several distinctive training techniques, yet centers around a more individualized approach for both dog and proprietor. It is the relationship among dog and human that drives everything. This strategy endeavors to address the issues of the dog and the trainer, to cultivate communication, and to fortify their security. Basically, it's about being mutually beneficial. The proprietor must realize how to read their dog's nonverbal communication, what rewards most motivate their dog, and how to meet their dog's basic requirements before each training meeting starts. Uplifting feedback encourages great behaviors. The dog's current circumstance is controlled to restrict conceivable unwanted behaviors. New information is based on pre-